Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich. Guys, how are we doing this week?
Somebody say something about firing it up, man. Hey, no, it's good. I look forward to every week coming doing this, man. I don't know how Doug is doing. He won't say nothing.
Oh, man, I'm doing great. I'm glad Tommy's feeling good tonight, Gene, and I hope you get feeling better.
I'm working on it, man, but I wouldn't miss doing this with you guys. We have a great time doing this, and people have been sending in a lot of questions, so we're going to have one of these Q&A episodes. These have been popular. They do well as far as downloads, and people are sending in questions. They want to hear your answers, so if you guys don't mind, hey, let's get you guys to answer some questions for the listeners here of Dangerous Conversations.
Well, we'll sure answer some questions, but for all the people that listen, that we appreciate listens and everything, remember, rate, review, and subscribe, whatever platform you're listening to.
Right.
Somebody say something about follow us. Follow us. Yeah.
You don't ever know what you're going to get.
And you guys haven't held back yet on any of these questions. You guys have you've answered them all, and you've answered them truthfully, and it's been a lot of fun, man. I've gotten a lot of good feedback on these Q&A episodes. And speaking of, before we move on, we got a lot of great feedback on last week's episode, the West Virginia heist. Have you guys heard from anybody on that?
Yeah.
I had a couple of comments on mine. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard quite a few. So, do you have some good ones on yours, Gene?
Yeah, a lot of people messaged me saying that, they had vaguely heard mention of it over the years, but they had never heard, you guys' side of the story. And I said, well, that's because they've never told it until now. And a lot of people enjoyed getting to hear you guys tell that story. It was a lot of fun, and
Did you tell them I was ashamed, Gene? Tell him Tommy thought everything was just fine. I was ashamed.
Yeah, I thought it was, hey, shit happens.
There you go. And that certainly happened. And yes, if you haven't listened to last week's episode yet, please go back and check it out. It's one of the more fun episodes we've had, and you guys really covered all the bases on that one. So our first question here comes from Shane Bishop, and he says, Doug, do you know if there were any further plans for the Patriot and versus Dark Patriot feud if Dale hadn't left for Japan? If so, what were they?
Oh, yeah, there actually was, and it was going to be, it was going to be gimmick matches and everything. Which the thing about Dale was an awesome athlete. Collegiate wrestler, I think, football player, and everything. And but Eddie had plans. We was going to work into different gimmick matches, and I had the claw deal, the glove deal, and was going to do a thing with the glove on the pole, and all different kind of. Eddie's booking to me was great and everything. He thought everything through and everything, and it would have been a great deal. But I was proud, and Eddie was too, for Dale going to WWF, when he got back.
Now, Shane had a follow-up question to that. He says, do you know whatever became of the GWF North American title belt after Eddie took it with him to USWA when he left Global?
Yeah, I got it.
There you go. Nice. All right. So next question is from Kelly from Columbus, Ohio. It says, guys, I love the show, and I was just curious, back in the territory days, did either of you guys ever get the chance to wrestle a bear?
I got a funny story about a bear. I never wrestled no bear. When I broke into business, they had to wrestle the bears. And the first time, matter of fact, I carried my wife, Terry Lynn, with me. We wrestled down in Addison, Alabama, and they had to wrestle the bear. And one of these girls, there was a girls' match too, and they had some honey, and I rubbed it on the crotch of them boys tight. And that bear, he'd fly head there, and then he'd start bibbing them in the goat knees, trying to get that honey. Yeah, that boy got up rubbed completely out of the ring. Sure did. But I do remember the wrestling bears.
And what did you rub on him, Tommy?
Some of that honey. You remember that? And I didn't just so happens, girl. Remember how they used to have them little bears that had the honey in them?
Yeah.
She had that, and I put it right in the crotch of his tights. Yeah. I told Terry Lee, and I said, watch this. And that bear snapped him, and he bombed down on this goat. Anyway, that was funny to me. When you said a bear, that's the first thing I thought about.
And I guess, Gene, I wasn't quite as ambitious as Eddie was about wrestling a bear, so I've never wrestled a bear myself. But I thought it would be cool, but I never have.
I can't say I blame you. I don't think I would want to wrestle a bear either. But I know you guys' friend Tracy Smothers famously wrestled a bear once or twice, I think.
Gene, you can't pin a bear, don't you?
Right.
No, you know why?
Why?
Because the shoulders around, their shoulders won't go down to the mat.
Oh, okay.
They have round shoulders.
Like
you can't pin them.
WCW.
That makes sense.
So, next question is from Frank Parks, and he asks, if you guys were about to fight a whole bar full of people and you only had one guy who could help you, would you rather have Harley Race or Terry Gordy in that fight with you?
I'd want both of them.
Yeah.
But I mean,
but it'd be either or.
Either or. Yeah, because I'll tell you a story here. I was in Japan, me and Big Terry, and we was in a bar, and we was standing at a table and everything. We was having drinks, and people was coming up talking to us, and this guy, he got jealous or something. His girlfriend was looking at Terry or something, or myself, and she walked over there and said something. So he wound up walking over there, and I said, dude, you better get away. And before I could even say anything else, a arm come in front of my face, and Terry knocked him out cold. I mean, he hit the floor and was out. And I looked at him and I said, Terry, because in Japan, you don't freaking, you don't do that. I mean, the law is so freaking bad and everything. And we was in a country town, not in Tokyo. Like in Tokyo, would have probably been all right and everything, how like a godly figure Terry was and everything. But in the country, they don't care about, who you are. And when you're Americans, they really don't like you in the country, the older people and stuff. And, but he knocked that, his arm come across, fist come right in front of my face, and he hit that guy and knocked him slap out. And so I'm telling you, either or. Harley was a tough son of a gun, and that Terry Gordy was a tough son of a gun too.
Yeah, either or, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of those where you can't go wrong either way. They're going to have your back, so not a bad choice either.
Yeah, and
but that's the bottom line. Either one of them two would have had your back. Yeah, that's the first thing. Yeah.
I looked at Terry and I said, "Why'd you do that for?" He said, "He shouldn't have said anything to you."
I like it. All right, so next up, my buddy Bob Anderson sent this in. Says, hello, gentlemen. 2 questions for you guys this week. The first one, do you think the stories of the Von Erichs would have turned out differently if David had lived?
Well, I mean, to me, in which Tommy can tell you more about this than I can, but David, to me, was the greatest worker out of all of them. Mm-hmm. And I mean, I loved Kerry and everything, and he was cool, and I got along good with him. But that was the David working wise was to me was. Well, I mean, Kerry was a great worker also, but now they said David actually naturally. Tommy, you worked around David and was with him some, wasn't you?
Yeah, I was actually. I mean, like Kerry would come into Georgia, and Kerry would just be in and out because he was the hot one of the bunch, and then like David, he'd come in, he stayed for 2, 3, 4 months, whatever it was. He had a run there, and then Kevin come through, and he did the same. So I met them all three, and I mean, yeah, David was the most sanest of the bunch.
Yeah, and I mean, Tommy David
most level-headed and could work. I mean, like I said, I mean, I when he passed, I just couldn't believe it. Cause he just, to me, he would. Just, he was really level-headed in the business. He was real smart, I mean, he knew what to do.
And he was going to be the one, Gene, that they put the NWA title on.
Right.
Yeah, he was a more, like he talks about doing that with Kerry. Kerry more irresponsible than I was, if you can imagine that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and I mean, they wound up putting it on Kerry after David passed and everything, but I mean, David was the one that they was going to put it on, and I think they was going to leave it on him for a long time.
Because he was very
versatile.
He had like worked heel down in Florida. He was one of the Von Erichs that actually could work baby or heel, and was way more versatile than the other guys, right?
Yeah, but like I said, I mean, I loved Kerry too. Kerry was always really nice to me and everything. I was never around Kevin or any of the rest of them.
That was like Kevin was cool. I mean, like Kevin, back then he kind of sounded a little out there. Of course, I'm sure I sounded a little out there too. You know what I'm saying? But and Kerry, like I said, Kerry, he was, he would carry. He was wide open, man, and that's back in the '80s, man. That's what the business was too, though. I mean, you tell him go in there, go an hour. He go in there, go an hour, and have a hell of a match too.
So then the second half of his question, he put, on a lighter note, do either of you have any good Butch Reed stories you'd like to share?
Well, I'm not now Butch. I knew Butch. I tell you what, you talking about somebody you want to bar fight with you? I become good friends with Butch Reed. I knew him. Me and Terry Lynn. He hung out with me and my wife. But anyway, yeah, Butch. He was always good to me. And like I said, you want somebody in the bar fight, he'd be one I wanted to.
Shoot, Gene. Butch was one of my. You can ask Tommy. Me and Butch got really close in Atlanta when I was working there, and I traveled with, of all people, I laughed. My brother was laughing at me, but I would travel with Butch and Ron Simmons, and I'd travel with Butch and Junkyard Dog, and we'd walk in the building or walk in places, and people would look like, What are you doing? What are you doing with these two guys? But man, they was cool and everything. Yeah. I mean, Butch always. I mean, Butch was a double tough son of a gun, which Ron was too, and JYD was just a ball to be around.
Yeah, that's it. You ain't nothing but you say nothing good but about them, because they was all, cool. I know Ron too, man. And every time I see him, I love going to convention, man. He come up and hug my neck. I hug his back, I mean, that was back during the time, man. We just say, hey, everybody was like brothers back then.
My favorite story of Ron Simmons is how tickled he got seeing Bill Dundee's car. Bill's got that wrap of like his picture and everything on it. They said Ron saw his car outside of a show one time and just couldn't get over it. It's like, to this day, if you go up and you see Ron Simmons say, hey, what about Dundee's car? They say he'll just bust out laughing and go, Damn, I can't believe he drives around with his face on his damn car like that.
I think he's the only one that does.
It's a bold move, but anyway. So the next question is from Jeff, just Jeff. It says, Doug, did you ever get any fights as a kid because someone called what your dad and brother did fake?
Oh yeah, quite a few.
Yeah, I kind of figured.
And everything, but I mean that's back when, I mean, like I said, you can ask Tommy and I mean Tommy himself. I mean, when he started and when I was a kid, I mean, you know, when somebody wants to say something, which the whole thing that they all watched it though. That's what killed me. You look back at it now, they all watched it, and they want to say it was fake. And but they'd be up jumping around and everything too. But oh yeah, I got in quite a few fights when I was a kid over wrestling.
Craig Williams asked, Tommy, did you enjoy working as a heel in WCW, and how did you like being Thomas Rich in the York Foundation?
What's my biggest moment of glory? You know,
he liked getting paid.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like getting paid.
He was under contract, and that was the best part of it, wasn't it, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, me and Ricky got heat, and they won't switch us heel, and you know. But it was Vince when we did draw a little bit of money. Terry Taylor, you know, Miss York. I mean, it was a nice little 6-man tag team, and they did do a little business with it.
Did you say Miss York?
Yeah.
I got you. Don't you say nothing bad about her on here.
Nothing bad about
I don't know. As a kid, I always thought the York Foundation was fun. Like it was crazy to me to see like two of the top baby faces of all time, you and Ricky Morton, as heels. You know.
Hey, y'all gonna laugh though. She was always real nice to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know where to go.
Ain't nobody saying.
I've heard various stories, good, bad, and indifferent. So we'll leave it there, I guess.
Hey, that's probably a good place to leave it too. I noticed Dougie got quiet.
No, y'all laugh. It's a funny story. She was my valet for Dennis Corluzza, and that's what I meant. She was always nice to me. Not like what y'all guys are thinking, but she was always real cool.
I wouldn't know. No, well, you
wasn't thinking nothing. You said we need to stop right here, but I mean, she was the valet, and she gave me her. This is what was so funny. She gave me the first time I called. Well, no, not the first time I called, but when I was up north. And I was calling Melissa, you know, we didn't have cell phones or nothing. And I didn't have my, I'd lost my, you know, when you're calling, you don't have the change and stuff. What was it called? You know, where you put your call on the card deal.
Oh, those calling cards.
She gave me her call. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, to pay for the call.
Yeah.
She gave me her card to call Melissa and everything, but that's why I'm saying she was really nice to me. I mean, that was cool. Wouldn't nobody else have to do that, or she didn't have to do it or anything, but she was always real nice to me, and she was like my valet up there for Dennis quite a few times.
Now, did she make you call yourself Douglas Gilbert for that? Was y'all the York Foundation?
I don't think it was the York Foundation. I think I was just Dangerous Doug.
Just Dangerous Doug. All right. Well, Alan Crawford asks, how did you guys like working the tag team known as BUSSY, Effy and Allie Katch in Evansville for Game Changer Wrestling?
You ain't gonna believe this, Gene. That dang guy put his tongue all the way down Tommy's throat.
Oh, let me tell you what he did.
That was before y'all got to the ring, right?
Well, no, that was in the dressing room.
Yeah, that's right. That's what I was thinking.
What were their names?
Effy and Allie Katch.
I played Dougie hooked up with Buffett.
Buffett.
Buffett. Did he say Buffett?
Hey, the funny thing. Hey, the the funny thing.
Reread these questions.
The funny thing was that they asked about it in the back, and Tommy looked at me, and I got tickled, and Tommy said something about it. He said, "You think we all do this?" And I said, Tommy, everybody's doing everything now. I said, hell, ain't nothing gonna hurt anything.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you this too. That Dougie, when it comes down to business, hey, put my soul in his hands every time, because he is. Sometimes I think some of that stuff sounds crazy to me. Dougie says, business, do this.
But then again, now Tommy got home. Tommy, what did Terry tell you? Should you have done that?
Yeah, she tells me a lot. Sitting over beside me, I can't say too much.
So Doug thought it was a good idea for you to do that, Tommy. Did you offer to reverse the roles and go, well, what do you think? How good an idea you think it'd be for you to do it, Doug?
Actually, Gene, he's not telling you this. Actually, he wound up kissing both of us.
Oh, okay.
Is this Greg? Is this Greg?
Gene, Don, Gene, Greg,
Gary.
Gary.
Terry was telling me, she said, I was trying to call them names because he'd been a smart aleck with me. And Terry was saying, it's Gene, it's Gene.
You tell Tommy you just being Jerry Briscoe.
Yeah, I just messed with him, yeah.
So here's an interesting question. Chris Bailey asks, Doug, online on cagematch.net, it lists one of your aliases as Rick Jones. Is this correct? And if so, where did you use that name?
Rick Jones.
And I looked it up, and he's telling the truth. On cagematch.net, it says, like, aliases, Doug Gilbert, Dark Patriot, on down the line.
Well,
and then the last one, it says Rick Jones.
I think that might have been when I was wanted in West Virginia.
Yeah. Never heard of Rick Jones.
No, that might have been us playing a reel, and they just went out and worked as Rick Jones.
Right. That's what I figured. It was probably just some random, maybe one of those WCW shows.
Hey, where was I supposed to have worked at? Is that?
It didn't give. It just said an alias. It didn't give like a particular match result or anything. So I don't know.
Well, I'm sure. Hey, I'm sure I did. Like Thomas said, in business, I'd do anything. I mean, if I thought it would make us money or whatever. Yeah.
Hey, and you just sent me a Photoshop the other day. I can't really elaborate on it too much about them hubcaps.
Hey, we'll get into that on this next one.
Okay.
Hey guys, Ray Russell here, curator of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, inviting you guys to listen to many of the programs here as part of the WrestleCopia brand, including, but not limited to, the Wrestling Memory Grenade, currently covering the 1988 and the WWF project. You can also listen to the Regional Wrestling Podcast, where we talk the territories, whether it's Jamie Ward with Georgia 81, Roman Gomez with the UWF in 1986, or Gene Jackson covering Memphis in 85. 3 projects going on right now over there at Regional Wrestling. You can also listen to the Wrestling Stoop with the legend himself, Bob Roop. Bob goes back in time each and every week, covering not just his career, but countless stories and interactions with hundreds of wrestling names spanning his 2 decades in the business. But that's not all. You can also check out the Puro Wrestling Academy with the professor of Puro Resu, Mr. Dan Ginnity. Dan and I go back in time and cover the history of Japanese professional wrestling in the English language. And you can listen to all of those shows and more, all part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network, located over at WrestleCopia.com. That's WrestleCopia.com, and anywhere your podcast streaming needs are met, from Apple to Spotify, Pocket Cast, and beyond. And while you're at it, why not subscribe to our social media guys for all the latest goings on here at the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Plus, I'm constantly adding old school video clips and pictures from throughout wrestling history. You can follow us over on X, formerly Twitter, at Wrestling Grenade. That's at RASSLIN Grenade. Also, follow and like me, Facebook.com/Wrestling Grenade. And why not subscribe to YouTube.com/Wrestling Grenade. So if you're looking to support that next up-and-coming podcast brand, please consider making it WrestleCopia.
Hey everybody, Gene Jackson here, inviting you to check out the Retro Wrestling Review, where each week I'm joined by some great co-hosts who help me review classic episodes of USWA Championship Wrestling, and right now we are doing week-by-week reviews of 1993. But we don't just do reviews, sometimes we get a chance to interview some of the people who were there and lived it, plus do watch-alongs. It's a lot of fun, so check out new episodes that drop every Wednesday at WrestleCopia.com. And to find links to everything associated to the podcast, you can go to USWApodcast.com.
All right, so Alex Martin asked, Tommy, is there one particular match from your career that wasn't recorded on video that you wish you had on video to show your family and friends?
Lord, I don't know.
What about your first match, Tommy? Is it recorded?
Wouldn't nobody want to see Tupelo, Mississippi, that Big Phil Higginson bouncing me around?
Well, I mean, I'd like to see it.
Yeah, that would be, because it was, like I said, that night when I wrestled Phil, we went and I wrestled him, and to me it was an all right match. It liked to suck to him, but then the next night we went to Jacob Jonesboro. I would. I'd like to have that one and the one in Jonesboro the next night when I worked with Tank Patton, and he had two left feet like I had. And then people was hollering, "Go home, go home." Yeah, I like to see the difference in them two.
The people, you mean the boys or the fans?
Well, they probably was too. The boys probably was too, but I'm talking about the fans. Yeah. Oh, Lord, yeah, I wrestled. It was Phil Higginson's partner, and he ain't been wrestling about 6 months, and I ain't never wrestled. And like with Phil, I thought, kind of held my shoulders back a little bit. And like I had a good match. And I got over there to Jonesboro, Arkansas. And if you had them two on film, see night and day difference. And that just goes to show you, if you're in that ring with somebody that knows how to work, and then you got two in there that don't.
Hey, Tommy, what did like Jerry Jarrett and Eddie Marlin say to you after those matches?
Well, the first one was good. The first, they just kind of shook their head. And the second one, yeah. I mean, I remember Jerry was there in Jonesboro, but Eddie Marlin, it was ugly.
Jerry Jarrett would have been there in Tupelo, though, right?
Oh, yeah, Jerry was there in Tupelo because that was his deal. Jerry Bryant was supposed to wrestle me. You remember Jerry Bryant?
Well, yeah, Lawler. That was before you was Jerry Jarrett's guy. And Bryant, and Jerry Bryant was Lawler's guy. So when they trained y'all both together, that was the
both together. And
Jerry Bryant was a great guy too, Gene.
Oh, I love Jerry Bryant. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I mean, him and my dad.
Me and him was two different styles. Like his was, he could do that flying stuff where I was that ground and pound guy. Oh, I love Jerry. Me and him go to Johnson City for Nick Goulas. We worked at him, and he'd drive up to Memphis, and me and him would drive to Johnson City. I mean, he was driving. Shit, that has to be 800 miles for him, from Johnson City from that.
And Jerry wound up being one of my dad's best friends.
Oh, yeah, Jerry was I love Jerry, yeah. Me and him, and like I was a little jealous because he was ahead of me because he could do the flying, you know what I'm saying? And I didn't understand. Mine was the ground and pound. But yeah, me and him was always shit. We always went to towns. I mean, like we went together. Yeah.
And when Jerry got sick, my dad always would go and see him and everything. I mean, he'd go every week and see him and everything. Jerry was just a great guy.
Yeah. And that was sad. Yeah, lost. You know, another we lost at a young age, man. You know, it's sad, but
I mean,
but
Tommy, Jerry had to be in his 30s, wasn't he?
yeah. So yeah, I mean, because like you figure I was 18 or 18 when I broke in, and me and him that's when we teamed up. Like he was a little older than me, but not much. So
but I'm talking about when he passed, he was probably in his high 30s or something, or late 40s, right?
Yeah, because I mean,
which Gene probably knows.
And I don't know if it's his high 30s. It might have been because
when
it hit him, it hit him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say he was like 36, 37, I believe. We've been watching Memphis 85 over on the One WrestleCopia show, and we just recently had seen where Jerry was part of Eddie's Army in 85, and he was tagging with your dad as Mr.
Right.
Wrestling, and some good stuff there, man. He was a really talented guy.
Eddie's Army, man. I remember that.
Oh, I love that.
Lord, I mean, just the dadgum stuff and that's Eddie's thinking. I mean, just all of that stuff, man. Yeah, I ain't even thought about that in years. I remember that Eddie's Army.
Yeah, with the helmet on and the jacket and Frazier and my dad.
Jay Plowboy's
head. Jerry Bryant. I mean, that was great. Another thing that was great was that This Is Your Life. Remember, I mean, the first one that done that was Eddie, I think. Remember when we done the This Is Your Life, Jerry Lawler, and brought all the guys out that he'd done wrong?
Yeah, that's what I was about to mention. That was so ahead of its time. Like, that was like nobody had really done anything like that before. And I mean, man, that was that was his idea, right? The whole bit was all Eddie, right?
Yeah, that was Eddie's idea. Him and Lawler talked about it, and Lawler thought it was great. And then, WWE Health done it later, WWE or whatever. They done it with somebody,
The Rock
I think.
and Mick Foley.
That was it and everything. But that was really cool stuff.
My favorite part of that when I was watching it back recently was looking at Eddie holding up those posters that I could tell clearly Lawler had drawn all that that Eddie was out there using against him, but you could tell that was all Lawler's artwork that he had done. So that was fun.
Oh yeah, every bit of it.
All right. Well, before we move past that, I know they aimed that question towards Tommy, but Doug, do you have a match that wasn't recorded that you wish you had to be able to show people?
You know what? I'd probably like to have a couple of matches like when I started in Malden, Missouri and everything. It'd probably be that. And, well, actually, you know what I would love to have? The first match that I wrestled for Jarrett, which was for Eddie Marlin it was in Kentucky, and I wrestled Tojo. Oh. And in the main event it was Battle Royal, and Bam Bigelow was in there. Well, I was 18. I was still in high school, and I was scared to death of Tojo, and I was scared to death of Bam Bigelow. And but that shows how. I mean, my dad never. I mean, I knew what the business was and everything, but still, those guys like Bigelow, and I mean, Bigelow was one tough son of a gun. And Tojo, it was just the respect thing for him and my nerves as far as working. I'd been working in Malden, but I had never worked for Jarrett before. And when Eddie Marlin called and asked, I said, well, yeah, I want to come. And so I come, and that's what it was. I wound up wrestling singles match with Tojo, then being in Battle Royal with Bam Bigelow, and I was scared to death. But I would love to have both of those.
Yeah.
Did you say Glasgow?
I think it was.
Yeah. Well, I tell you, Gene, what I'd like to have is the film from Glasgow where that's my film I'd like to have, is the one where I had to wrestle 5 times because they turned around. I think they had the ass home. Yeah, there you go. That's the one I'd like to have right there. I was the whole card.
The marathon night for Tommy. Oh man, was there a better big man in wrestling than Bam Bigelow? How great was he for a guy that size?
Oh man, for him start, I mean, from when he started, when he come to Memphis, and Lawler worked with him, man, it was just freaking chemistry. Which, I mean, you know, Lawler could work with anybody, whether it was awful or great, and I mean, it would be great. I mean, the awfulest with the broom he could work with, and you know, people's got their own opinions of different guys. It's so great and everything, but I mean, you know, like Tommy drew so much money with Lawler. I mean, Tommy drew a ton of money with Lawler. I mean,
Bam Bigelow. I mean, Bam. He was coming in. He was in. I mean, worked some of the tags with him and everything. I mean, yeah, like they said, he was just phenomenal because he could do shit. Not that I ever threw a real good drop kick, but he could throw a drop kick and get up higher than I could. You know, I mean, he just was real agile and big heart too. I mean, he was good at what he did.
Yeah. I remember as a little kid seeing him do stuff that, you know, was just mind blowing for a guy his size to be able to do, to come off the top rope and do all the things he did. And you know, you mentioned wrestling Tojo. I don't think people talk enough about Tojo. Like, I've realized, like, you know, being here in Alabama and then over around Memphis and everything, people of a certain age, if you mention wrestling, even if they weren't really a wrestling fan, but they just knew of wrestling, or, you know, people in their family or friends were wrestling fans, one of the first names out of their mouth will be Tojo Yamamoto. Like, a lot of older people remember Tojo, and I don't think he always gets as much credit for being as big a deal in wrestling at one time as what he was.
Gene, Tojo and Tommy was partners there for a little bit, wasn't you, Tommy?
Yes, sir. I mean, and with Tojo, you go back, and people don't know this either. The Crockett's, they used to promote North Carolina, right? Well, if you go back and look, they had a guy, P.Y. Chong, and that was Tojo. He weighed about 300 pounds or something then. And that's where, he started up there and then come down here, and I guess got with Jerry Jarrett and did it, you know, did the Tojo thing here. But, yeah, he did a thing up there where it was P.Y. Chong. Did you know that, Gene?
Gene, I didn't know that. Did you?
I had heard that he did that, but I didn't know he was 300 pounds at that point. Man, I'd like to see some footage or pictures.
Oh, I've seen pictures. I mean, if he wasn't 300, he was 280. I mean, wow. I've seen pictures of it. And you figure no taller than he was like the whole side of the ring.
Have to be.
You know, I mean, yeah, sure did. P.Y. Chong. Yeah, he wrestled for the Crockett's up there. And then he come down here with Jerry Jarrett, and it's like that's where he got his promoting, or got his start, and never left.
And like you said, Gene, nobody ever has forgot. And people still today talk to me about Tojo.
Yeah, they do. You mentioned wrestling, and there's I know around Huntsville, you know, people always go, "Oh, I used to," you know, my grandpa used to talk about Tojo Yamamoto and those wooden shoes, and that, you know, and this, people remember him. He definitely made his mark as you know, a heel, and then later a babyface, like you said. So good stuff. Robert Berkeley asks, Doug, and we've talked about this a little bit on the show, but not extensively. It says, Doug, how did your tag team, the Lethal Weapons, with yourself and Dennis Condrey come about, and how did you enjoy working with Dennis?
Man, I loved working with Dennis. He was great, and I mean, you can learn more from Dennis. I mean, you ask Tommy. Tommy worked a bunch with Dennis, I know also, but I mean, Dennis was a great teacher and everything. But I mean, it wound up the Savolis. What was it? IW. What was their thing?
ICW, I think it was.
Gene, do you remember? ICW. Yeah, they needed a tag team, and Dennis was going to go, and he didn't have a partner. And Paul Heyman called me and asked me would I be interested, and I said, well, sure. Well, he told me Dennis was going, and I said, well, what is the deal? And he said, well, we want to call y'all the Lethal Weapons. And I thought, well, shoot, that sounds good. Yeah. And man, I got to work with Dennis and everything a bunch, and we held the tag titles and everything, and it was really cool. Dennis is a great guy.
I remember him coming into Continental towards the end of Continental as the Lethal Weapon, Dennis Condrey, and he started using the DDT and had a good run there. And I guess this probably would have came right on the other side of that. Probably would have been when he went up there. And
I don't know if you can find this or not, but me and Dennis wrestled the Cheetah Kid, and which that's what Titty Petty wrestled in Japan as, I think, and there was another guy as partner, and he was a masked guy, like a kind of the same gimmick, and the guy wound up somewhere or another, he punched me in the nose, and I went to lock up with him, and he punched me in the nose, and it broke my nose, and I carried him back to our corner, and Dennis just slapped my back, and he got in, and he beat the shit out of that guy.
Yeah, there's a lot of stories about Dennis. Like, Dennis was a pretty badass dude, right?
I just been to say that's another one in the bar fight. He'd be another one you call.
And
I remember when him and Phil Higginson, you talk about a heck of a tag team to draw good money in Memphis. Phil and Dennis, they had a good run here in Memphis, where they draw big money.
But I thought it was cool, the name, the Lethal Weapons. I thought that was cool, and Paul Dangerously Manages, which is Paul Heyman now and everything. But we had a good little run up there and made some money, and that's the main thing.
It is hard to find footage of that.
Dennis is a great guy. I love Dennis. And like Tommy said earlier, I love being at the conventions and seeing Dennis and getting to talk to him and everything. Man, he's such. I got so much respect for him and everything. Dennis is a great guy.
Absolutely. We've got one little clip on the Facebook page of you guys together, and I don't think it's actually even a match. It's just kind of a run-in or something. But I've been searching, trying to find more footage of you and Dennis tagging. I can't really come across any. So if anybody's listening to this, if you've got footage or matches of Doug and Dennis, please reach out, genejackson95@gmail.com or douggilbertpodcast@outlook.com, and let me know. We'd like to get some more of that up on the Facebook page for people to check out, because it's good stuff.
But I mean, you couldn't help. You can ask Tommy this, like me being a young guy, you couldn't help but to learn from Dennis. And I mean, Dennis was a tag team specialist from the get-go, wasn't he, Tommy?
Oh yeah, Dennis. And he just had that, that daggum, what you got supposed to have up there at the top of your head. I mean, he had that psychology, and he was a hell of a worker, too. But he just knew how, whether he was a heel or baby, he knew how to make people tick. Dennis Condrey, I love him, too, man. Yeah. And like I said, it's always good. We get to go, man. And that's the best thing of our deals now. I still love to go and wrestle every now and then and see the wrestling fans, and God bless each and every one of them. Still remember those guys like me. But just to go and see the other guys too, though, man, when you get to go to one of the conventions where there's a handsome Jimmy or, ever who it may be, Jerry Lawler or whatever, just so you get to sit and reminisce a minute, because there ain't a lot of that left.
They're sure not. And like I said, y'all guys out there listening, remember to rate, review, and subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on. And you can go to Pro Wrestling Tees, Gilbert Family Store, and get your Memphis Mafia shirts. And me and Tommy are going, I hope, Gene, you're going to send me and Tommy one of them pretty quick.
We got one last question we're going to hit you with before we wrap up this week. Randy Greer asked for both Doug and Tommy, how was Randy Hales as a booker? Did he differ from USWA, where he was just the booker, to Power Pro, where he was not only the booker, but also the owner, founder, and president? So, there you go. How was Randy Hales as booker?
Hey, I never had no problem with Randy. I didn't know he was owner of Power Pro or whatever. We did USWA. He was always open to Doug's and my ideas, and and we had a good run. I mean, that was the last money run that was there with us with PG-13, they hubcaps, man. Randy was smart. I mean, he had a good head for the business. And it was just, I mean, I ain't got nothing bad to say about Randy. I always liked Randy.
Gene, everybody in the world thinks that I dislike Randy, but Randy's me and Randy talk, I don't know, every couple of weeks or a month or sometimes maybe every 2 months. But Randy had a great head on his shoulders for the business, and he, to me, the part that he was like Eddie in was where he would come to me and Tommy with his ideas, and then me and Tommy could shoot him our ideas, and we'd make something there in the middle work. And but he had great ideas too, didn't he, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, Randy was, and like you said, like Dougie said, he would let us. It wasn't just like he went and did what he said. He'd ask us, and we'd discuss it, and then what came out of it came out of it. I mean, yeah, he wasn't, I mean, he always, he was open, he was open. And that's what made it work for the last USWA stuff. I mean, we all worked together as a team, I mean, he was the boss, or the book or whatever.
And what was cool, Gene, I think the two last big angles, and I ain't tooting my own horn or nothing, but it was me and Brian that he booked that, and I thought that was booked great and everything. But he also let me and Brian have, input on. I mean, he'd tell us what he wanted, but he'd say, "Do y'all want to do? Is there anything y'all want to change on it?" And most of the time, there wasn't anything we wanted to change on it. So, I mean, Randy's got a great mind for business, and he grew up on the business there in Jonesboro, and he watched the business, and he knew what the people would buy and wouldn't buy, and I think that's the whole key to it, right, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, he was just like you and your brother. Y'all was knee high when y'all started coming. I mean, so if anybody, ain't too many people tell you no more about the business than y'all, because you was, when you was knee high, knee high tall, y'all was at the business, you was watching it, whether you was learning nothing then, it's still, you learn it, man. And, it's just, and Randy did good, I mean, he was always there. I remember he did programs when he was little. Was doing programs.
Yeah, he set up the chairs for Eddie Marlin at the building.
Yeah, so I mean, he went through, and then it's something he loved and enjoyed, and I mean, he did.
And he sold programs also. He said, he told me he sold programs for Eddie and set up the chairs and everything else.
Yeah, I mean, that's like, I remember Eddie, going a little, he'd go everywhere and take pictures. It's like, I don't remember you taking no dang pictures, boy.
Me?
Yeah, you did.
Well,
the first thing about that, every one of them boys I know, all you young bugs, they all took pictures. And now I'm thinking, I've never seen Dougie take no pictures.
You didn't. Well, the first angle that I was ever in when I was taking pictures of you and Eddie and Phil Hickson busted my nose with the camera.
I still got that picture. I
got you. That's cool. But anyway, no, Gene, that's all. Like I said, Randy's got a good head on his shoulders. He come from when he was young and grew up in the business. And we always told him he was Eddie Marlin's son and everything, and had to get him started. But I think he liked that.
And he spent time with Lawler too, didn't he, Dougie? I mean,
oh yeah, him and Lawler are real tight.
No,
and he was
some of the best minds in the business.
Yeah, he was one of the, he was a manager at Lawler's Hall of Fame Bar and Grill for about 2 or 3 years there.
Yeah, I mean, I think Randy's done every job there is to do in the wrestling business over the years, right? Like you say, from selling programs up to
the
show.
Hey, Gene, but don't make him mad though.
Well, don't make him mad, and don't tell him you're not doing his podcast.
Don't make it. Exactly. Don't make him mad, and don't get him on a rambling roll, or he'll be on there all night.
But yeah, I find it funny that people still think that you don't like him, but yet he's been a guest on this podcast. You know, he's had you at the Hall of Fame shows multiple times. Like, clearly you guys get along, but people are still hung up on something that happened 20 years ago, you know. Or shit, 25 by now, not even 20.
Well, that's what I was fixing to say. I think you're cutting a little short there.
Yeah, as soon as I said that, I was like, well, no, it's 2024, and that was, 98 or something?
Yeah,
something like that.
Hey, Gene, they still don't like each other.
Hey, you know what? That Tommy's the one told me to do all that.
Damn it, Tommy.
And he's pretending that face on TV. He's just working everybody. He told me to go out there and do it.
I could just see him back there coaching you back there before y'all came to the curtain. All right, now, Doug, I want you to get out there and say this, this, and this. And you're like, I don't know, Tommy. I know, trust me, it'll be good.
Oh,
yeah,
no.
Tommy said it'd be just like when we was in West Virginia. Everything will be good.
I felt worse over there than I did in West Virginia.
Yeah, we'll talk eventually. Eventually, we're going to have a whole episode about y'all's feud with PG-13. Eventually, I'm sure we'll do an episode one day about the whole Power Pro thing and all that. But coming up here on the show, we're going to be starting a series of shows about the USWA. We're going to be kind of breaking it down year by year. You guys were so active there. Eventually, we'll go back and talk about some old CWA stuff. And also, since we got such good feedback and everybody enjoyed the Thanksgiving show, we're going to be the week of Christmas. We're going to do a Christmas episode where we go back and talk about various cards on Christmas Day that you guys were on, and we'll run down the cards and talk about some of the people on the cards. And you guys, I think you guys enjoyed doing the show, and everybody enjoyed listening to it, so we're going to revisit that for Christmas. What do you guys think about that?
Ho, 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 ho. I'm ready, baby.
Man, it sounds great to me, Gene.
Well, good deal. Well, folks, keep following us. Keep listening to the show each week. Please, if you enjoy the show, like Doug has mentioned, please rate, review, and subscribe on the platform that you use to hear the show. Tell a friend about it. Share it with your friends. Share it on your Facebook. Share it on your X, Twitter, if you will. Man, we sure appreciate that, and every little bit helps get the word out there, let everybody know what we're doing over here at Dangerous Conversations, and lets people hear these great stories that Doug and Tommy share, and guys, we've barely scratched the surface of stories you guys have got.
Oh, you're not kidding, Gene. But hey, listen, like Gene said, rate, review, and subscribe, whatever platform you're listening on. Pro Wrestling Tees, Memphis Mafia Shirts, the Gilbert Family Store. Get what you want. But anyway, listen, Gene, peace, we're out.
Tag team action between the Enforcers and Ron Simmons and Barry Windham. And when you talk about tag teams, we've got to talk about next week right here on the Pro. Thunder Cage 91, the York Foundation joining me now, will be involved in that. Alexandra York, I'd be remiss if I did not ask you, where is Terrence Taylor?
I don't believe that's any of your business, Eric Bischoff. Come bell time, he will be there. And I might add, I am extremely frustrated with the manipulation that we've had to deal with this Thunder Cage 91 business. I don't like it.
How about it, Thomas Rich? 6-man tag team action in a cage. This is really threatening not only your well-being, but obviously your career as well.
Well, WCW, they flammed us again. You know, they're trying to kill the York Foundation. Well, you're not going to get the job done. Dustin Rhodes, Big Josh, Z-Man, all it's done's made us mad. We're going to run your head right down that cage, and it's going to be all over for you. Thunder Cage, I'll be there.
Richard Morton, no doubt about it, as a tag team, certainly you have the ring experience, but this is 6-man action. And have you ever been in a cage with anybody as lethal as the Z-Man, Big Josh, and Dustin Rhodes?
It don't make no difference who we're in a ring with. We got railroaded one more time into a cage match. You see, we don't care, Dustin Rhodes, Big Josh, or Z-Man. We're going to beat you just like we did last time on TV, because we are the 6-man World Tag Team Champions.
You heard from the York Foundation. That's next week, our main event, Thunder Cage 91.
Before we get out of here, I just want to take a moment to remind everyone, if you have an upcoming wrestling show, autograph signing, collector show, Comic-Con, or any event or booking that you would like to inquire about the services of Dangerous Doug Gilbert and or Tommy Wildfire Rich, just send us an email at douggilbertpodcast@outlook.com, and someone will get back to you as soon as possible to get more information on your event and do the best we can to make that happen. Also, if you are interested in advertising your event, your business, your product to the listeners of Dangerous Conversations, as well as to promote your event, business, or product across all our social media platforms, you can send that inquiry to douggilbertpodcast@outlook.com. We would love to work together with you to get that out there to the listeners of Dangerous Conversations. Remember to check out douggilbertpodcast.com. There you can find links to all things related to this podcast, as well as Doug and Tommy themselves. You'll find a link to the Dangerous Conversations Facebook page and the Dangerous Conversations Twitter, now known as X. And we're always posting content daily, involving the Gilbert family, Tommy Rich, all sorts of things from their career. We got magazine articles, videos, pictures, you name it. We're posting new content every single day. Make sure you follow so you don't miss out on any of that. Plus, you can follow Doug and Tommy's personal Facebook pages on there. Dangerous Doug Gilbert. You can search that on Facebook. You can also search Tommy Wildfire Rich. They both have Facebook pages. And Doug does have an X page as well, and you can follow them there. But if you really want to help support, you can go to the Gilbert Family Pro Wrestling Tees store, which there's a link to there on the douggilbertpodcast.com, and you can find t-shirts of Doug, Eddie, and their famous father, Tommy Gilbert, as well. Also, Tommy Rich is going to be having some t-shirts coming up very soon. Follow him on Facebook. We'll be talking about him here. But look for some cool new Tommy Wildfire Rich t-shirts coming out soon that you can partake in as well. Also, if you've enjoyed the show, please subscribe, rate, and review the show on the platform of your choice. It would really help us in building up the podcast for the future. Plus, it helps us know what you like, what you don't like, where we need to take this podcast moving forward. Also, if you want to see a whole bunch of matches, promos, and angles, a lot of the ones that you're going to hear us talk about on this very podcast, you can go and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@RetroWrestlingArchive. Of course, it's linked right there at douggilbertpodcast.com, and you will find a ton of matches featuring Eddie Gilbert, Tommy Gilbert, Doug Gilbert, Tommy Wildfire Rich. There's playlists of all them that feature hundreds of matches of each of them. So make sure you go check that out. And not just of them, there are thousands, literally, at this point, of videos from wrestling from across the territory days, you name it. If we don't have the video uploaded to our channel, we at least have organized you a playlist of just about every territory, every show that's out there. You can find it in one convenient location there on YouTube at the Retro Wrestling Archive. Plus, don't forget, you can find all things related to my popular Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast at uswapodcast.com. And last but certainly not least, we are proud to be a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Go on over to WrestleCopia.com to check out all the great pro wrestling related podcasts and various content that our friend Ray Russell provides you. You'll be glad you did. So thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next week for another episode of Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tommy Wildfire Rich.
In the heart of Tennessee, born with pride, Doug and Tommy taking rings in stride. Memphis legends never backing down. Wrestling warriors, they wear the crown. USWA glory in their veins. Fighting legends breaking chains. In the square circle they made their name. Podcast champions, it's their claim to fame. On the mic they roar on From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight we told. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. If this wrestling raising the stage.
Hey, it's Bob Smith, and guess what? The Outdated Wrestling Hour is now part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. But hey, no fear, you're still going to hear the unique guests, comedy, music, authors, journalists, funny people. Who knows who's going to end up on the Outdated Wrestling Hour? Remember, it's all new and all old. So check it out in the WrestleCopia Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcasts. Listen if you know what's good for you.
This is Wrestling Nostalgia, the podcast that dives into wrestling history. Hey, wrestling fans, I'm Dave Dynasty, and if you enjoy podcasts that are knowledgeable and history-driven, then Wrestling Nostalgia is for you. With great guests and fun interviews, there are over 200 episodes in our archives. We chat with several first-time guests and often cover topics not discussed on other podcasts. Look up Wrestling Nostalgia on your favorite podcast platform and visit all of our links at linktree/WrestlePod. That is linktr.ee/RASSLEPOD. And remember, wherever you go, whatever you do, be good, be safe, and keep on growing.